Good evening, everyone. My name is Ivan Alsume, and I am your host tonight. I am pleased, and it is a pleasure for me to announce Miss Alina Abrentes. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Miss Alina Abrentes to, to the viewers. She is currently running for mayor in Danbury, and she's a Democrat. She is here to share her platform with us.
Thank you very much, Ivan.
Welcome.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to tell the viewers a little bit about me. A lot of people don't know much about me, and I was a former city clerk. I was a common council member for a little over 6 years, as well as being the legislative leader for 2 terms. When I was on the council, I was on the council during Jean Araquez's tenure as mayor, and I was able to do a lot of different projects and programs with him on there, serving on the diversity task force for the police department and the fire department, as well as several committees, and working on the project for a new skateboard park in Danbury, and many other things. So it's an honor. And I actually am not a born U.S. citizen. I am a naturalized citizen. I was born in Portugal, came to the United States when I was just turning 5, and I have gone through the school system in Danbury, Morris Street School, Rogers Park, Danbury High School, just as anyone that was born here. And I have 2 wonderful children and a husband, and my children are both in college presently, both graduates of Danbury High School, very outstanding students. And it is an honor to be able to do this right now because I really care about this city, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Great. Well, you bring a wealth of knowledge.
I'm honored, and it's an honor, really it is, to be able to do this. A naturalized citizen, I'm fulfilling the American dream. It's something that most people want to do who come to this country, to become naturalized and to be able to do this. And I've always told my children that you can do anything you set your mind to, and I'm trying to teach them that continuously. But let me just tell you a little bit about what's important to me. My priorities for the city is public safety, overdevelopment, extensive overdevelopment, the security and the safety of the residents in Danbury, education. We need respect for our community. We need respect for one another, something that seems to be lost a little bit in our society today. And we need to fortify our overall quality of life. And that, to me, is critical in the city. I'd like to bring the city back to where it was many years ago, where people loved to live in the city. And it was important for them to maintain their neighborhoods, their community, and just partake and volunteer and do a lot of work. And it seems to be disappearing, and a lot of people are moving away that have lived here for many years, and it saddens me. The other night I went to City Hall and I listened to Mayor Boughton's budget proposal. And the one thing that upset me a little bit about the budget was he keeps on talking about his budget incorporating an income tax that Governor Jody Rell is planning on imposing on the city, on the residents of Connecticut. But you can't have smoke and mirrors. You cannot plan on something that hasn't happened. The legislature has to vote on it, and they haven't voted on it. And you can't count on money that doesn't exist, because it ends up getting you into trouble. And then it'll cost our taxpayers quite a bit of money. Presently, she wants to increase our sales taxes, and we are having an increase in our taxes, our local taxes, per the budget that Mayor Boughton discussed at the council meeting the other night. I successfully worked as part of the previous Democratic administration. We kept our taxes down. We kept our sewer rates and our water rates down also. And that was very important for the taxpayers of Danbury so that they could live here. I'm concerned also about the future increases in property taxes due to the excessive bonding that's occurring in Danbury. The bonding expenditures by this administration. In a few years, our property taxes will continue to increase tremendously because of the irresponsible approach. Our children are going to be paying for this in the future if we continue to bond. There's a lot of programs that he's speaking about bonding, such as the ECHO, the property that's buying, saving land, adding just to protect our environment. And you don't need to bond it. You can apply for grants. When I was on the council with Jean, we applied for a lot of grants. We were able to get those grants. We purchased hundreds of acres for Terry Weil, and we were able to increase the space on Terry Weil. And also we tried a project which was amazing to me when I was on the council. It's called phytoremediation, and we cleaned up 2 contaminated areas. It was the area on North Street and Barnum Court. And what we did was we obtained these grants, and they put plants in the ground, and these plants were designed to eat up the chemicals and the bacteria in the ground, and it actually cleaned up the entire area, which is amazing, because it used to be a lot of mercury, and it was a hat, as you know, we were the hat city. And it was astonishing what those plants did after several years, and we didn't need to bond. We were able to apply for those grants. Those grants are available. They are federal grants, they are state grants, and that's the best way to do it, is to apply for those grants, not continue to bond. Also, the quality of life in Danbury is very important to me. Because of this excessive overdevelopment at this point, traffic is a major concern. And if all of these buildings are if people live in all of these buildings, then I have a major concern, because our police department is not big enough to maintain our area. Our fire department cannot handle the infrastructure of our city. We have just expanded so drastically, and we've forgotten about everything else. Our road system, our transportation, our security, our safety. Our schools cannot handle any more children. And you figure if you put in approximately 3,000 homes on the west side, where are those children going to go to school? Our Danbury High School is already at its max level, and it cannot handle any more students in that school. So what are we doing? We have to do something. We cannot handle the excessive amount of people that will move into Danbury, if they move into Danbury, because from what I understand at this point, people are actually moving out of town. They are not staying here. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues, a lot of different things that are very, very important. This tax deferral, I was very upset about the tax deferral. During the time that I was on the council, we did give tax deferrals, but we only gave tax deferrals for economic purposes. The tax deferrals that we gave out was to GE Credit. They brought in more than 200 jobs into the city, which helped us economically. We did a tax deferral for Sendent Mobility. We did a tax deferral for Webster Bank. They all entailed bringing in jobs, bringing in new people into our community to help with the development and the economy of our town. Brings money in, the businesses are doing very well. I own a restaurant, so it helps my type of business also. And I mean, all of those items are very, very important to me, and it's critical. And now, a tax deferral for a housing development, I have a problem with that. I think that is completely wrong. I think we're going off track, because that is not helping us economically. And I just don't understand why Mayor Boughton is granting BRT this tax deferral for the property on Crosby Street and Franklin Street. We've never in our history ever granted tax breaks for housing developments. Only the housing developers benefit from a tax break like this, which makes you wonder what motivation Mayor Boughton has on his mind. We don't know, but I truly hope that this is repealed. I hope that the tax break is repealed, because it really doesn't have a purpose, and we're setting a precedent. And I am very concerned about that precedent.
Wow, that is a lot. Let me say that we are live, 792-4101, 792-4101. If anyone has questions for Mr. Prentice, please call in, because hopefully you will be the next mayor, right?
I hope so.
What do you think are the challenges for you during this campaign?
Well, the challenge is I'm going to have people understand me. I'm going to have people feel comfortable with me. Most of the people that I've worked with, either in volunteer organizations, I've been a member of many boards, volunteer boards. I was very involved in school, PTOs, etc. And they know how I am. I'm the person that you see. There's nothing hidden about me. And that's very important. And I believe that the people that I've worked with and people that know me trust me, and that's an honor to me. They have to feel comfortable. They have to feel that I could do the job, and I know that I could do that job. It's a learning process when you first are elected in that position, because no one is qualified to do that job until they go into that office and they start to learn. And you have to work with the members in City Hall. You have to work with the residents and listen to them. Listening is a very important quality that you have to have in order to work in that position. You can't just decide you're going to listen to one group or another group. You really have to listen overall and look to see what the best idea is for the residents and for the town. When I was on the council, a perfect example, there was an issue that came up, and I didn't agree with the issue. At that time, we had a mayor who was a Democrat, and most of the council was a Democrat. But I felt that I could not make that decision. I could not agree with that. And so I voted against it. And I was basically the only Democrat that did that. But consciously, I just felt it was inappropriate to approve something that I still had a lot of questions about and that I didn't think was going to be the best thing for the city. And that's the type of person you have to be. My biggest problem is I care too much. And my children will tell you that.
Well, that is good. Your party, the Democratic Party, when you were serving under Eric Ress, it was united.
Yes.
Now, my understanding is that it's not quite as united as it was once when Eric Ress was in power. What do you think you're going to do to bring the party together so that you will have a strong impact on this election?
Well, the first thing is I am willing to work with everyone. I want everyone to come in. I have talked to many people, different groups of people. I worked on Dean Esposito's campaign. I worked on Tommy Arconti's campaign, Chris Sotero. I have the support from all of them, and that's very, very important, because you can't be divided, you have to be together. And I have talked to candidates who plan on running for the top of the ticket, and the only thing that we want to do is we want to work. We are not fighting, we are working together, we are going to be unified, and we're going to go forward, and we're starting right away. We're not waiting until the last minute, as we have in the previous elections. As you noticed, I just announced in February, which is quite early, and I plan on going out there, I plan on working, and I plan on letting people ask me questions, and I will find the answers for them, and I will tell them what I stand for.
Okay. You have discussed a lot of things: public safety, overdevelopment, education, respect for community. But I have not heard you mention anything about the senior citizens. As you know, they are the voting bloc here in Danbury. What are you planning to do for them after you are elected?
Okay. I know that there are quite a few issues that have come before the council. Those issues have actually been sort of tabled at this point, because the committees have never been called to meet on tax deferrals. When I was on the council, we did do tax deferrals for the elderly, and I would like to do that again, because the elderly are being killed with the cost of medications. It's absurd that these people have worked their entire life, and now all of a sudden they can't afford to buy medicine, or if they do buy medicine, they cannot afford to buy food. And that just, I just don't understand how we can get to that point in our society where someone who is elderly has to make that decision, especially since they've worked their entire life. And we have to do something. I will do whatever I can. I don't know what the budget truly is. I don't know what the finances of the city truly are. The only way I will know that is that when I win this seat, and I go into office and I review all of the books and find out financially how the city is truly going. But definitely one item that I do want to put before the council is any type of tax deferral or tax break for the seniors, because they are what made this city today.
And also the disabled are being neglected.
Yes, they are.
Both statewide and nationally. What will you do for them? Because these are the senior citizens and the disabled. These are the people who are being neglected. What will you do for them?
The disabled, there's actually a lot of programs out there in the state. and that you can apply for, and we need to start working on that. I know that you have to spend the time, you have to go up to the state to get the funding, to do whatever you can for the disabled in our community. And it's the same thing with the seniors. There are special programs, there are special benefits that we can give the disabled. You have to make sure that they're protected. And the hardest part about the disabled at this point is they are required, the young children. They are now being put back into our school system, and we don't have the capacity to educate them properly. And it's a concern because they need the attention. You have autistic children, and those children need one-on-one care when they're in the classroom. And a lot of times, I went through the school system when we were looking to revamp the schools, and I was shocked when I saw the classrooms being held in closets. I mean, literally, they took out and cleaned out closets, and the classes were going on in these little closets. And that is so inappropriate for us to be doing things like this. We have some of the property, we have the land. Why don't we do something with that? Increase our size. And the state has to start funding our educational system if we have to teach these children locally. If they're not going to provide the education the way they used to in the specialty schools, then they have to start doing something to help fund us locally, to help them, because it's not fair.
Okay, let's talk about the police department. The mayor is currently, I guess, the last contract, the benefits. The police were not happy with the contract. What are you going to do for them once you are elected?
Well, the first thing we have to do is hire a personnel director in the city of Danbury, someone who is qualified to do contract negotiation. We need more police officers. That's the first thing. They are working on thin strings. It's very difficult. The size of this town it's too big for the amount of officers that we have. We have to bring morale back up, and yes, you have to work with them and help them with their benefits and give them a little better environment, especially for them to be able to work within the city of Danbury. But we have to hire more police officers. There is a lot of crime going on in Danbury, which people are not even aware of. And I've talked to several police officers, and they tell me it's amazing if you knew exactly what was going on in the city between robberies and everything else, and they can't keep up.
See, what I don't understand with the mayor's plan is the fact that he changed their benefit to save money, but his I guess,
His
City Hall,
package.
right, is still the same.
Correct.
So to me, if you want to save money, you got to do it across the board.
Correct.
And I feel that you are shortchanging the police officers, especially those who are in the front line trying to protect us. And I would like to know, especially with that benefit, if you're going to give them a better package than what they are receiving right now.
Definitely. I want to sit down with the union. I want to review their package because their contract is coming up. And they are working on it. It has to be negotiated because the first contract was finished when the second round of negotiations was supposed to occur. And the first contract was resolved because it went to arbitration, which is not necessarily a good thing.
Exactly. Okay, we have 2 calls.
But, okay.
I'm sorry. Caller, you're in the air.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on the air.
I'm sorry, go
Hi,
ahead.
Helena.
Hello.
I wanted to ask you, I'm sorry you've left seniors already, but I was curious about if you had any plans for senior housing, or one of the major problems I've noticed this year is senior transportation. Whether it's to stores, whether it's doctor's appointments, or whatever, seniors frequently are kind of left out there without any transportation. The Sweetheart bus takes 2 or 3 weeks to make an appointment in advance. And if you're ill, sometimes it comes on quickly and you need to go to the doctor. I personally have had a couple surgeries this year, so I've been down at Main Street Rehab and watched people sitting there for an hour waiting for a bus to come pick them up after they've done their therapy. And if they're as tired as I am, I really feel for them. And I don't see the bus routes going far enough around the city of Danbury to pick up people. If you can't walk to the bus or you could drive to the bus, you can drive wherever you're going. So do you have a plan for that? also for the senior housing. I'm really concerned about that. If we were to leave our older homes, our larger homes, and move into something smaller but nicer, our homes would be affordable for the youngsters coming up, and then you would have the supply of affordable houses for them.
True. Thank you for calling, Lynn. Well, first of all, yes, we do need affordable housing, but we have to hold the developers accountable when they tell us they're going to build senior housing. Perfect example is you have someone who has proposed to build a middle-income housing. All of a sudden, we're not going to do that anymore.
Crosby Street.
We're going to change it to dormitories for WestCon because it's not marketable. Well, you can't do that. If you have a developer that comes before the mayor and comes before the zoning board and comes before the planning board and says to you, we are going to develop and make a development for middle-class families, for seniors who need a place where they can live and they can afford, then that's what has to happen. Otherwise, their permits have to be revoked. Because when you come forward and that is your word, then you have to follow through with it. Otherwise, there's no reason for us to have these departments or to really go into any type of agreement, because it just does not fit into the structure of the city, and we do have to do something for them. We are building excessive amounts of million-dollar homes, and these people cannot afford to do that. And with regards to transportation, briefly, yes, we do have to do something. I know that the city works with the HART buses, and we need to improve them and work with them, and I would love to do that because we have to expand it so that people can be picked up, so that we do possibly have more buses, that possibly we can take some of the vehicles off the road and take them to the train station, and take them to the bus station, and take them to the location where they have vans picking up those people to take them to the jobs, because we have to do something. We cannot move on the roads, and the seniors need transportation to doctors. When I worked at the clinic at the hospital, I was astonished at how long people had to wait to be picked up after they had their appointment. And it actually saddened me, because I would see people that were 70, 80 years old, and they were sitting in a wheelchair, and it's just not right, because they don't have a family member to come and get them. They're by themselves, and they just have to sit there and wait.
Thank you. Caller, you're in the air.
Oh, hi, good evening. How you doing, Ivan? How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hi.
I feel terrible. The mayor was just there in Ivan's studio a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him to name some of his favorite restaurants, and he didn't name your restaurant.
I'd rather not comment on that.
He's watching the show, and I know he's sitting there with his beverage, and he's leaning into the TV now because he hears my voice. This is Abrantes. Do you own apartment buildings in Danbury? Do you own apartments yourself?
I have two family houses.
Okay. Well, you mentioned some concerns about crime and overpopulation in the schools. Do you make sure that your tenants are legal residents? Are they from Brazil and Ecuador? And do you think they're illegal?
I don't think they're illegal.
But did you check to see if they were legal?
No, because first, that's not exactly a requirement.
Well, pardon me?
I have a married couple living in each one of my apartments, and those are the only people that live in my house, because
they don't have
I check.
School children, though?
No school children.
All right, good. So we don't have to worry about them overloading our school.
No.
You didn't mention about the mayor has been a champion of lobbying the INS the last time I, saw what was going on. He seems to, from what I read in the newspaper, he lobbied the INS to do some more. Is that true, Ivan?
Yes, I read it last time.
I read it
yes.
too. So can we count on you to lobby the INS to go after these illegal aliens, or do you? Most Democrats want to be their friends and support making them citizens, amnesty, so to speak. So you didn't talk about illegal aliens. Are you aware that you said there's a lot of crime in Danbury? You talked to the officers. Did they tell you that most of the crime is committed by illegal aliens?
All right, Frank, this is going to be the last question, okay?
Yeah, that's it. I didn't mean to be a phone hog.
That's okay. Thank you.
Actually, most of the crime is not committed by illegal aliens. If you actually look at your reports...
Excuse me. Let me correct you for a second, and I'm going to correct everybody who's going to call. They are not aliens. They are not from Mars or outer space. They are undocumented immigrants.
Yes,
so please correct that before you call. Thank you.
Yes, that is true. They are undocumented immigrants. And the one thing that bothers me tremendously is when you read the newspaper or you read comments and they talk about immigrants. I am an immigrant. I did come to this country. I've never collected a penny of welfare. I did come legally. I became a U.S. citizen when I was 14 years old. And to me, if someone has lived here 20 years and they've tried and tried to apply for paperwork in the United States, and they have paid their taxes, and they have participated in the community, and they own homes, and they are just like you and I, maybe they should be given an opportunity to become legal, because that's what they want. If someone has committed a crime, I don't want them here. It's the same thing if I went to Sweden. As an example, if I go to Sweden and I'm a criminal in the United States, do you think that Sweden would allow me to stay there? No. They would send me back to the United States and tell me to stay in my own country.
Okay. Let me take the call. Caller, you're in the air.
Oi, como vai, Senorita Helena?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
How are you tonight?
Very good, thank you.
Listen, I have a question. Why do you think Mayor Boughton is trying to ram this budget process through the Common Council without input from the Democrats? And I'll hang up and listen to your, answer off the air if you have one. And good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it actually upsets me that he is actually pushing this budget so quickly, because his finance director is leaving. This is not the finance director's budget. This is the mayor's budget. And if the mayor wants to present his budget, then he should be able to explain all the items on the budget, because he is the person that is responsible for the budget, not the finance director. And he should know the answers to provide to the council members when they do question it. And the council should have some time to review the budget, because the way it's being presented, you don't have enough time to review it and properly make a decision on it. And especially since he's incorporating a sales tax, an increase in sales tax, or an increase in state income tax, which hasn't even been approved at this point.
Thank you. Caller, you're in the air.
Ivan, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Hey, I was at the Common Council meeting on Tuesday when the BRT tax abatement on Foster Street was brought up. I just wanted to find out Helena's position on the on that tax abatement, and I just want to make sure I was correct when I heard that he mentioned that in the history of Danbury there's never been a tax deferral towards developers to build residential property.
Correct. There hasn't. The tax deferrals that were always approved were for economic reasons for businesses, such as GE Credit, for Belimo, for Sendent Mobility, for Webster Bank, when they brought businesses in to help the economy of the city.
All right, so I'm assuming you're against these deferrals to the BRT on Crosby as well as the one on Kennedy.
Yes, I am against that, because if this developer gets this type of a deferral for his buildings that he's putting up, or his development, then who's to say that another development shouldn't be entitled to the same type of tax deferral for a development that they want to put in? And we can't do that, because they have to pay taxes to sustain the city.
One last question. I don't want to take a lot of your time, but a lot of the things that are coming from developers are handled in the planning department and the zoning department. What would you do as mayor to try to slow down the overdevelopment that's happening in the city? And thank you very much for taking my call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the one thing that I definitely want to do if I become mayor is I believe that we need a charter change. And we need to combine the planning and the zoning department so that the land use decisions are in compliance and compatible with our city's plan of conservation and development. That is very important. If you consolidate those two departments, it's much easier to understand and to work together.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, that's it for this half of the show. Is there anything else you would like to say to the community?
Well, yes, I hope everyone does give me the opportunity. Anyone that would like to speak to me, I would love to speak to them and explain to them the type of person I am and what I believe and what I'd like the future of the city to be like. And I'm always welcome, always available to anyone who has any questions.
Okay, let me say that the senior citizens, they vote.
Yes, they do.
And if you can get their vote, you will probably definitely will be the mayor of Danbury, because they're the one who actually vote. So I hope that you would be able to reach out to them and listen to them, talk to them, because a lot of times they are being neglected until there is an election, and then everybody wants to hear from them. And then after that, you don't hear about them at all. The police department, to me, I feel that if you're going to slash the benefits, it should be across the board. If it doesn't work for them, it shouldn't work for anybody else. So I hope that when you become mayor, you will be able to, to give them a better package and really appreciate their services here in the community.
Well, you have to do that for the police department and the fire department, both.
Okay, and we have so much to talk about. I hope you can come back.
I'd love to.
Please come back in.
Yes.
And you know what I want to? I also would like a debate between you and the mayor.
Oh.
Right here on Ideas That Work and Beyond.
We could do that. We could do that. Yes.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. What we're going to do is take a little break. We will go ahead and share the news with you, and then we will have the roundtable discussion to discuss the future of the Democratic Party here in Danbury. Thank you.